The Great DEI Deception: How Corporate America is Abandoning Black Professionals and What We Must Do About It. Thank you all for being here today. I'm honored to stand before you to share insights that have fundamentally changed how I view progress in corporate America. These revelations came through my recent conversation with Tammy Carr, a revolutionary force in workplace equity whose fearless advocacy has transformed how we understand diversity in professional spaces. Tammy doesn't just talk about change, she architects it. Her work has created pathways for countless Black professionals who might otherwise have been sidelined by systems designed to exclude them. What makes her perspective so valuable is her unflinching commitment to truth, even when that truth disrupts our most comforting narratives. We all cherish stories of progress. They soothe our collective conscience. They reassure us that despite setbacks, we're moving steadily toward justice, toward fairness, toward a world where talent and hard work are recognized regardless of skin color. But what if I told you that the story we've been telling ourselves about diversity, equity, and inclusion in corporate America is largely a lie? Let that sink in for a moment. While many believe DEI initiatives are steadily advancing in corporate America, the sobering reality Tammy revealed is that we're witnessing a devastating rollback, one that disproportionately impacts Black professionals, particularly Black women. This isn't speculation. This isn't pessimism. This is documented reality. In recent years, major corporations that once made bold commitments to racial equity, companies like Meta, Target, Amazon, and Walmart, have quietly scaled back or completely dismantled their DEI programs. This retreat hasn't happened in a vacuum. It's occurred under the pressure of a political backlash and legal scrutiny, and the consequences, they're real, they're measurable, and they're devastating for the professionals these programs were designed to support. Consider Meta, formerly Facebook. In 2020, following George Floyd's murder and the subsequent racial reckoning, Meta made sweeping promises. They pledged to increase Black representation, they committed to diversity targets, they celebrated their partnerships with historically Black colleges and universities. The future looked promising. Fast forward just a few years. After Meta ended several of its DEI programs, citing vague compliance concerns, there were significant reductions in both Black and Hispanic representation within its workforce. Progress that took years to achieve was erased in a matter of months. This wasn't an isolated incident, it was part of a pattern where corporations make public commitments during moments of social pressure, then quietly retreat when the spotlight dims. This reality is more than disappointing. It's a fundamental challenge to the narrative of continuous progress that we've been telling ourselves. It reveals how quickly hard won gains can be reversed when commitment wavers. As Tammy emphasized during our conversation, what we're seeing isn't a pause in progress, it's an active dismantling of the very infrastructure designed to create more equitable workplaces. This reality demands a new approach, one that doesn't rely solely on institutional commitments that can evaporate with changing political winds or shifting corporate priorities. So, what does this new approach look like? Based on my illuminating conversation with Tammy, I want to share three critical insights that can help us navigate this challenging landscape. First, self advocacy isn't just important, it's essential. Success isn't just about excelling at your job, it's also about making sure your achievements are visible. Diverse leaders must become fierce advocates for themselves by clearly mapping their work to business outcomes. Waiting until annual reviews to showcase your impact is too late. The visibility of your contributions must be an ongoing priority. Tammy shared the story of a brilliant Black woman executive who led a project that saved her company millions. Despite her success, she remained invisible to senior leadership until she developed what Tammy calls strategic visibility, systematically documenting her impact and ensuring decision makers knew exactly how her work advanced company goals. Within a year, she was promoted twice. Second, representation remains deeply uneven. Yes, there have been some improvements in board diversity across Fortune 500 companies. Underrepresented racial groups now hold 22.2% of board seats, a notable increase from just 5 years ago when it was only 17.5%. But senior executive roles remain overwhelmingly white, and these modest gains are threatened by the very rollbacks in DEI that we're witnessing today. The numbers tell the stark story. While boards are slowly diversifying, the pipeline to executive leadership remains constricted. For every 100 white men promoted to management, only 58 Black women receive the same opportunity. This isn't about qualification, it's about visibility, opportunity, so, and systemic barriers that persist despite decades of diversity rhetoric. Third, resilience through community and storytelling is crucial. Building networks with other diverse professionals and sharing stories of both struggle and success can help counter systemic barriers. Programs like the African American Leadership Program have demonstrated this powerfully, with nearly 70% of alumni reporting leadership progression, thanks to focused development efforts. This Milwaukee based initiative was designed specifically for emerging African American leaders who faced barriers, including lack of mentorship opportunities, limited access to influential networks, and systemic biases impeding advancement. The program provided intensive leadership training workshops, storytelling techniques for self promotion, and ongoing peer support. What makes this program remarkable is that it wasn't waiting for corporate America to change on its own. It built upon community strengths rather than relying solely on institutional change. One participant, a mid level manager who had been passed over for promotion 3 times despite outstanding performance, found through the program both the strategic skills and the supportive community she needed. Within 6 months of completing the program, she secured the promotion that had previously seemed unattainable. Her success wasn't just personal. She brought 4 other program participants into her department, creating a ripple effect of opportunity. These insights don't just identify problems, they point toward solutions. They reveal that while institutional commitment may waver, individual and community resilience can create pathways to success even in hostile environments. Let's look more closely at what happened at Meta. After pledging support for racial equity initiatives in 2020 to 2021, including specific hiring targets, Meta became one of several major firms retreating from those promises amid shifting public sentiment. Prior milestones included increased recruitment from HBCUs and employee resource group growth, but these gains stalled after program cuts. What this reveals is how quickly external pressures can erode organizational commitments and why vigilance is needed to protect inclusion efforts. When companies retreat from their diversity commitments, the consequences fall disproportionately on those who are already marginalized. The story of board diversity across Fortune 500 companies offers both hope and caution. Analysis tracking changes in boardroom composition between 2020 to 2025 shows that pressure mounted after high profile shareholder activism campaigns exposed gaps between public statements and actual outcomes regarding inclusion metrics. Some firms responded by adopting formal succession planning processes, prioritizing gender and racial balance. Others tied executive compensation partially to diversity targets. Companies with robust succession plans saw improvements not only in gender, but also background diversity throughout upper management pipelines, not just boards themselves. While we're far from parity overall, this data proves that progress is possible when accountability mechanisms are built into governance structures rather than left voluntary or symbolic. As Tammy noted, metrics matter, and what gets measured gets improved. These examples reveal a complex picture, one where progress is possible but never guaranteed, where institutional commitments can evaporate quickly, and where community based solutions often prove more durable than corporate initiatives. So, where does this leave us? If we can't rely solely on corporate DEI programs to create lasting change, what's the alternative? The answer lies in a dual approach, continuing to push for institutional change while simultaneously building resilience, visibility, and community support that doesn't depend on corporate goodwill. For Black women in particular, who often face the double bind of both racial and gender bias, this means developing strategies that acknowledge the reality of DEI rollbacks while not surrendering to them. It means becoming masterful at self advocacy, building strong networks, and creating spaces where authentic stories can be shared and celebrated. As Tammy so powerfully stated during our conversation, when they hand you a pink slip instead of a golden parachute, you don't just fall. You design your own parachute and chart your own course. This is the essence of resilience in the face of institutional betrayal, the refusal to let corporate retreat define your professional journey. I want to leave you with this challenge. In a world where progress is fragile and commitment is fickle, what will you do to ensure that equity isn't just a corporate initiative, but a lived reality? How will you use your voice, your influence, your position, whatever it may be, to create spaces where everyone can thrive? The dismantling of DEI programs isn't just a corporate issue, it's a moral one. It asks us who we want to be as a society. Do we accept that progress comes and goes with political wins, or do we demand more? Do we build systems of accountability that can't be easily dismantled? The path forward requires both clear eyed recognition of the challenges and unwavering commitment to creating change. Whether corporate America is ready for it or not, it requires us to be both pragmatic and visionary, to work within systems while also building alternatives to them. As James Baldwin once said, not everything that is faced can be changed, but nothing can be changed until it is faced. Today, we face the reality of DEI rollbacks. Tomorrow, with courage, with community, with unflinching commitment to truth, we can create workplaces where excellence is recognized regardless of race or gender, not because corporations permit it, but because we demand it. The illusion of steady progress has been shattered. But in its place, we can build something more durable, a movement for workplace equity that doesn't depend on corporate goodwill, but draws its strength from the resilience, brilliance, and determination of the very people it aims to support. Will you join us?